Good afternoon, good morning, Sawadee-ka. I'm Professor Tony Mok from the Chinese University of Hong Kong. I would like to share with you some exciting development on molecular target therapy that was reported in ASCO 2019 in Chicago. Now, as you probably know, in EGFR mutation, ALK translocation, and the uncommon molecule are the mainstream of molecular target therapy. So what is new related to the EGFR mutation? Well, there are two abstracts that is most important. First is the potential combination of chemotherapy together with gefitinib versus gefitinib in patients with EGFR mutation positive lung cancer. Now, this is a report from India, and then they actually report a progression-free survival of approximately 16 months versus 8 months, and also there is a suggestion of overall survival benefit not reached versus about 17 months in the control arm. So it was declared to be positive. But the key question is whether you should change your practice and then add chemotherapy to first-line EGFR TKI such as gefitinib. My answer to that is probably no. We already have the data from the Japanese study, NEJ009, that actually reports improvement in progression-free survival and overall survival. But interestingly, you have to know that the median overall survival of the Japanese control group is 34 months. But then in India, it's only 17 months. So although there is an improvement by hazard ratio, the control arm overall survival is much lower than what we can expect. As a matter of fact, in Asia, most of the overall survival of the patient with EGFR mutation positive disease are much higher than the 17 months. So right now, it's an interesting study. However, I don't think it's sufficient for us to change the practice. The next interesting study is actually on the combination of a new anti-angiogenic drug, ramucirumab, which is a specific anti-VEGFR2 inhibitor, in combination of erlotinib versus single-agent erlotinib in EGFR mutation positive patient. This is a global study, large-scale randomized phase 3 study. It's also positive in the primary endpoint of progression-free survival that reported the median of 19.4 months versus 12 months. It's significantly different. And interesting enough, that is actually also in support of the Japanese 026 study that actually report also improvement in the progression-free survival. However, we have to understand that this study, the overall survival is not mature, and neither was the study from Japan. So at this moment, interesting data, but without the overall survival, I may be reluctant to change my practice. So those are two important studies that we have to keep our eye on, but certainly not sufficient to change what I'm doing with my patient with EGFR mutation. As for ALK, I think the most interesting data is from Alex Shaw, because she was able to collect the patient who got resistance to the TKI, including crizotinib or anatinib, and then the patient who developed G1202R resistance, they was placed on lorlatinib. And in this relatively small study, 25 patients and approximately 13 patients had responded. So this is the first time in a collective manner that we were able to document the efficacy of lorlatinib in patients with proven G1202R resistance. So that is definitely worthwhile. Now, and then on the uncommon mutation, there's actually a number of new development. Now, we also know that for the RET in translocation, LOXO292 have reported a response rate close to 65% in the previous ASCO. And this year, there's another RET inhibitor, namely BRU667. This is another specific RET inhibitor, and the response rate is actually reported close to above 50%. And that is actually highly encouraging and potentially may create a new paradigm for treatment of the RET positive lung cancer. As for MET14 skipping, which is a relatively uncommon mutation, that the new drug is called tepotinib in a study called Vision. It is actually a study that looked at both liquid biopsy proven exon 14, the MET14 skipping, and also the tissue proven MET14 skipping. And they were able to report the response rate of approximately 45 to 50% of the response rate, and also the progression-free survival is about 9 to 10 months. So that actually reached a reasonable evidence to suggest a single-agent MET inhibitor is efficacious in the treatment of the MET14 skipping. So all these are interesting development that potentially may change your practice. But most important of all is for us to know what is the mutation status of patient? Do they have EGFR? Do they have resistant mutation to EGFR TKI? For ALK positive patient, when they have resistant, do we know that whether they have G1202R? And also for uncommon mutation, we cannot just say patient doesn't have EGFR ALK and stop there. We have to know the presence and absence of uncommon mutation, including MEK protein skipping, RET, ROS1, BRAF, and HER2 mutation, because all the exciting news are coming up one after the other for this group of patients. So thank you for your attention, and certainly I look forward to visiting you in the near future.